Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, I will be doing a project review of McLaren Artura model. Now, if you guys remember, I did a project review of this model quite some time ago. Now, the person who created this also sent me his latest improvement, so let's take a look at it. So I'm just going to turn this off and turn on the new model. And as you can see, he made quite a lot of improvements in the model. So there were more features added, such as this hood feature over here. Wheels were added, more details, as you can see. So overall, quite a big improvement. So if you were to just do a side-by-side comparison between this one and this one, let me just move it a little bit more like this. You'll see that now the patches are a lot more logical, as you can see, especially in this area. This area is a lot smoother, less patches, which means, surfaces are going to be cleaner. There's definitely more details. Overall, there were quite a lot of improvements made. Even the CV structure, if you remember this one, I think there was a little bit of issue here. I think that's been resolved. Overall, quite a lot of improvement. Now, that said, however, there are a couple of things that I did want to provide some tips on. So let me just turn this off and let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to turn the symmetry off on this one. So if you look at this with just the reflective shader on, you'll see that there are a couple of areas which have a little bit highlight issue. So now that's this is a huge improvement from before, especially this area. I mean, the adherence to the design is a lot closer. This is smoother. Overall, huge improvement, but there are a few areas that could use a little bit of help. So let's go ahead and tackle those. So the first thing I wanted to point out is this highlight over here. So you'll see that there's something funny going on in this area. And the first thing you need to do is turn on the CV structure on these surfaces over here. And you'll notice that there is a little bit of dip. And that's probably one of the reasons why this highlight is being created. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to untrim this one over here, and I'm going to try and see how it changes with just a simple freeform blend. So I'm just going to do a freeform blend, and it's going to be side one over here, and it's going to be curvature, and this is just going to be a position, and I'm just going to say curvature like this. Okay, so that's not going to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this edge over here and pick this one over here, and let's see how it if it helps or if it doesn't. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn that off over here, and let's just take a look at this piece over here. Let's see if I can just hide it. So it looks like it's this one over here. So I'm just going to create a new layer, and let's just go ahead and hide it over here like this, and let's take a look at the highlight after that. Okay, so you'll see that the highlight issue is still persists, and then what you have to do is you have to take a look at the primary surface that's underneath it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick these surfaces over here like this, and I'm going to isolate these ones, and I'm just going to copy and paste over here like this, and I'm going to say hide selected. I'm just going to untrim over here just to get to the theoretical like this, and I'm just going to untrim this surface over here, and you can see if there's going to be any issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a draft surface, and I'm going to say just regular draft, and I'm going to say chain select over here. I'm just going to create a surface like this. All right. So if you look at this one, you'll see that there's a varying thickness between this one and this one over here. So that's one of the reasons why there is a weird highlight. In order to prevent this, the surface that you're aligning to and the surface that you're aligning to and this surface over here, they should be very complementary. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this one over here like this, and I'm just going to try and, well, maybe I'll just the CVs a little bit in order to get the shape that I want. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to do just a duplicate over here, and of course it has to rise as it goes forward in car. So I'm just going to do that, and let's go ahead and do a couple of blending over here. So the overall is just rising as it goes towards the front. I think actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Of course, it looks like the the most forward point, it needs a little bit more. So I'm just going to do that. Oh, I don't know why the camera is on. So let's turn the camera off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to project these edges onto this top surface over here. So I'm just going to project it in Z over here like this. And that's going to, I think that's going to have quite a bit of improvement. Okay, so now that's done, let's go ahead and instead of aligning it to the surface, I think I'm just going, actually, you know what? Let's do that to the surface because of the number of spans. So first of all, let me just do an extend over here. Oh, looks like it won't trim. So let's go ahead and I'm going to see if I can just extend the COS and trim the surface. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim this one over here like this. Now I don't need the draft surface anymore, so that's going to be gone. And these surfaces over here, I'm going to also get rid of. All right, so now if I were to do a draft between this one and this one, you'll see that there is a very gradual transition from here to here. So now let's find out if this had a positive impact on the highlight over here. So I'm just going to click here and here like this. I'm just going to say default, same thing. It's going to be curvature on one side, position on the other. Okay, so it looks like the CV structure is a little bit weird. So I think I'm just going to actually do it one by one. So I'm just going to do this. Default over here. Actually, this one, let's do connect ends like this. Now, multi-spans. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time in like cleaning this up. I'm just trying to show you guys how it's... oh, wow. Okay, so it looks like that had absolutely no effect, but that's okay. I'm just trying to demonstrate how highlight works in this one. So even if there are multiple spans, I'm just going to let that be. Okay, so if you look at the highlight now, you'll see that there is a much more gradual transition between the two. Now, of course, if you want to make this a little bit well, if you want this transition to be a little bit smaller, of course, you can try to pick these CVs and just bring it down. But overall, you'll see that because of this very constant relationship between the top surface and this one over here, you'll see that the highlight is a lot more consistent as well. Okay, so let me give you a quick before and after between the two. So I'm just going to put these, delete the construction history over here, and I'm just going to put it in a new layer like this. And let's hide those, and let's grab these ones over here like this, and I'm just going to put them in a new layer like this. I'm just going to turn them off, and let's just do a comparison between the two. So if you look at the highlight over here, actually, you know what? It's probably a good idea to turn symmetry on as well. So I'm just going to have symmetry on all over place like this. And if you were to compare the two, you'll see that the highlight flow is a lot better. And now there is a break because of what I did over here, but as you can see over here, the highlight flow, it's a lot more consistent over here, and you can see a very clear side-by-side comparison. Now this highlight on the other hand looks very good, so I think it just needs a little bit improvement here. Now, moving on to the next subject. So if you look at this one over here, there's a little wiggle in the feature line. So in this case, now there is, looks like this person used multiple surfaces to create this. Now it is always a good idea to build to the theoretical. You'll see that, I'm guessing this is more like a primary surface, but you'll see that it's not to the theoretical over here. So this surface over here and this surface should actually meet right at the center, and you should just strike a line between and do a fillet between these two in order to create it. Now, of course, that is not the main problem because at least I think the surface is nicely balanced over this fillet. But as you can see, there is a little wiggle over here. So what I would do in this case is just take these surfaces over here like this, and let's just go ahead and untrim this one, like this, over here all the way through. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do one more. Before I do though, let's just strike a line. So I'm just going to strike oops. Just going to strike a line just straight like this. Actually, I think this one is pretty straight, so that's good. So what I would do is I would just get these surfaces over here and just project it from view. And just trim over here like that. And that's going to create a much straighter line over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a rail over here. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this edge over here like this. Actually, you know what? Let's turn the symmetry off on all of these as well. So that's a little bit easier to work. So I'm just going to make it degree 2, just nice and simple, like this. Now it could also be due to a surface interface, but it looks like there is nothing there. So I would just ignore that. And I'm just going to do a rail all the way through. And let's just keep it parallel just because of all the... Oh, wow, that's quite a lot of spans. Oh, okay, so that's probably due to the amount of acceleration that the surface has. I would prefer not to have this much CV, I guess, acceleration towards one side. I do prefer to keep things a little bit more constant. But since I'm not trying to do this demo for surface cleanliness, I'm just going to quickly go through this. And as you can see, the feature line is going to be a lot more consistent, a lot more straight. So that's going to be overall a better model as well. And of course, all you have to do is just finish it with a fillet, and that'll be it. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. So those were a couple things over here. Now this is a little bit more complicated. Now, I think the overall highlight between this over here is a little bit better than before. Now, that said, however, there is still a little bit of wiggle. And if you do a little bit deep dive, you'll see that there is a CV structure that's going like this and up. Of course, this is a very difficult to blend. So what I would actually do in this case is... well, first of all, I would actually connect all the surfaces to a theoretical, because right now there is no theoretical. Now, it's quite possible that it's a trim converted surface, but if you look at the highlight over here, you'll see that it's going up and down, and of course that is going to probably carry over here as well. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can just connect these two over here. Actually, you know what? It is already connected. And as you can see over here, you'll see that there is a little CV up and down over here in the CV structure. So of course there is probably going to, you know, have an effect over here. So actually in this case, I feel like this surface could have been just a continuation. But let's try to at least do a little bit of patch adjustment to see if I can make it a little bit better. So first of all, I'm just going to delete this one over here, and let's just go ahead and untrim this surface over here like this. And I'm going to just see if I can make a little bit improvement over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a, actually, you know what? Let's get those surfaces back to the theoretical, because I don't want it patched like that. So let me go ahead and do a freeform blend between these two like this. And I'm just going to make it G2 over here. Now it is, with an edge line, it's probably going to do something like that. Actually, you know what? The CV structure doesn't, oh, okay, so there is a little bit of, oops, let me just go back over here. So you'll see that there is a little bit up and down. So of course, now I would prefer to build to a theoretical, but since the theoretical is not there, I'm just going to go ahead and just do a little massaging here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a transform CV, and let's do a proportional mod. And maybe I'll just do like 50 over here. And I'm just going to push these down. Oh, actually, you know what? There is a little wiggle over here. Now, that's it, however. I don't know why. Oh, why are there multiple surfaces all of a sudden? Oh, wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick everything over here. I'm just going to deselect one, and that'll be it. I don't know why it's suddenly like that. I don't even know what's going on over here. Hopefully, Autodesk can fix this. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it, delete it, and paste it again. and looks like it's gone. I think there was an error like this some time ago that was verified. Well, let me just well, obviously I don't have the surface anymore, so I'm going to have to bring that back. So let me just bring that back. Okay, so I just pasted this original surface back in. So now hopefully I can actually do the modifications that I need. So I'm just going to untrim this one over here like this, and let me just turn that off. I'm just going to do a freeform blend between these two, and I'm just going to keep this as connect. And as you can see, there's a little bit more volume here than on this side. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let me just clean up the CV structure a little bit. So I'm just going to do NUV like this, and what I'm going to do after it's a little bit more consistent, I'm going to do a prop mod like this, and I'm just going to bring the whole thing down like that so that the CV structure over here is a little bit more in line with everything else. Now you can do vice versa, so you can either adjust this one or you can do that one, whatever works for you. But I think the section, because this is actually a degree 3, I think it should actually replicate that. So let me just make this a degree 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a prop mod over here as well, like this. And I'm just going to bring this down so that's a little bit more consistent between the two. Now, like I said, it's a lot better to do this with a theoretical all the way through instead of trying to do this like this, because you can never know. As you can see over here, now that's not how we work. I think the highlight is a little bit more consistent, a little bit better flow. So in this case, what I would do is I would just do a rail between this one and this one. Now that's not how we work. I think this one should probably be edge line. There should be an edge line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, actually, you know what? If that's the case, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and do a rail. Well, technically, I think this should actually be a primary surface. So let me see if I can just extend it and if it's going to give me a trajectory that I need. Okay, so that's a problem. So if you look at this one over here, you'll see that this extension of the surface is actually going down. I would think that you need to actually bring this up, which means you need to bring the entire surface up in order to get a little bit better transition. So what I would actually do in order to actually fix the primary issue is I'm just going to extend this, delete that one. And let's just go ahead and extend this surface all together like this, and you'll see that it goes down. I would actually bring this up over here like this to make sure that it intersects nicely over here. Actually, I'll probably pop this one up and pop this one down, and I would lower this down as well as to level, make it a little bit more level over here. So now you got a consistent section from all the way from here to here, and it's still pretty close. Now there of course needs to be a refinement over here, but this is going to allow a little bit better build. Now as far as this side goes, I will probably lower this side just so that it goes a little bit below, so that you can have a fillet running all the way through from there. So maybe I'll just do a quick something like this, and that's going to allow me to actually create a surface that's a little bit more consistent. Now of course I tortured everything, so it's probably not going to work super well. Well, let's see if I can at least do some align over here. So I'm just going to do a project align over here. I'm just going to do that in Z, and let's go ahead and, well, that one I'm going to just leave. And now because I've done that, I can just do a, well, actually since I'm doing this, I can probably just make this out on one piece, but let's do that. And now what I can do is I can just project from Z also over here, and I'll do a freeform blend from here. Well, actually, let's see if I can get to the theoretical for this one. I'm just going to align over here and here like this. And again, it's just going to be G2 on one side and position on the other. And as you can see over here, the highlight is a lot more consistent between the two. Now that's where there is a disconnect between these two surfaces. So let's see if I can extend this Now this is just a real quick patch job, but let's see how the highlight flow is between these two over here. So I'm just going to make a curvature on each side. Okay, so there is a little blip over here. That's because, well, it's not just a quick patching in, so it's not consistent. But if you can see the highlight over here, it's a lot more consistent throughout than compared to before. So of course there needs to be a little bit more refinement, but this is something that can be done in order to improve the model. So let me just quickly trim this out so that's a little bit easier to look. So I'm just going to, yep, just trim that one like that. Hopefully it trimmed. Okay, so it looks like it didn't. So let me just go ahead and do that. And yeah, I think the highlight is a lot better. There's a little blip, so I will probably have to do a little bit better job of connecting everything here. But this is definitely something that can be done in order to improve the model. Now, there were a couple of other things that I thought could be improved. For example, over here, you'll see that the CV structure is a little bit inconsistent. I think that is contributing to the factor that it's not smooth. So that's probably something that could be done in order to improve the model. So you know what, let's do a quick check. So I'm just going to hide these, just hide and select all of these, just these two surfaces over here. I'm just going to do a, let's see, connect ends. As you can see, well, I think there is still a little bit of inconsistency there. So maybe it's not just the CV structure, but how it's actually structured. So let's see. So if I were to just go back, I think it's a little bit smoother, but doesn't really improve it overall. So I think the issue might be how it's structured. So basically it's trying to do a curvature alignment, so I think it just needs a little bit more room. I think that's probably the reason for its a little bit sharp edge being displayed over here. But to be honest, it's not that bad. Now there are a couple other things as well. So if you look at this one over here, you'll see that the CV structure is a little bit more inconsistent. So this is what I'm talking about. You always want to build to a theoretical. So if you look at this over here, and let me just untrim these two like this, I would, well, let's get back to, well, let's make it a little bit more consistent. So I'm just going to make it degree 2 over here, and I'm just going to duplicate this edge as well. And I'm just going to make it degree 2 like this, and I just want to extend the curve over here like this so that I can actually get to the theoretical. Now it looks like it is, but okay, so as you can see over here, now I did rebuild the curve, so that could be a reason, but let's go ahead and connect it like this, and I'm just going to do a stretch tool over here to actually connect the dots. And I'm going to go ahead, well, let's see, I'm just going to align this surface onto the curve like this. It's going to be position influence set to max, XRC rules of 1, and I'm going to blend factor of 0 like this. And I don't know why vector option is on, because I'm not doing vector, but whatever. And I'm going to just get rid of this one over here, and I'm just going to strike a rail from here to here. Now of course the position is completely different. Actually, you know what, let's do this. I think I'm going to make this a little bit closer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this edge over here like that. And of course I'm going to delete that one. And I'm just going to do a rail. It's going to be natural like this. Of course it's going to do something like that, which is fine. Yeah, so that there's a nice display over here. And let's go ahead and make it. I'm just going to strike a curve. Actually, you know what? Let's strike a curve like that. Bit of an angle. And just going to project from Y. Just going to do a rail like this. Let's see, natural. I'm going to say parallel for this one. I'm actually going to do a little fix on the highlight over here, or the CV structure over here. Okay, so this one probably needs to pop out a little bit more. If I were to make it a little bit more consistent with the other surface that was originally there. So I'm just going to duplicate this edge over here, and let's use the stretch tool to bring it out like this. And I'm just going to align this one over here. Blending will be blend factor 1, like that. So it's essentially a very similar structure, but as you can see, the overall structure is a little bit nicer. So now if we were to do a filler between the two, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this one like this. Now there's probably a little bit of gap, but it's fine. I'm just trying to do a quick iteration. So I'm just going to say existing theoretical form factor will be 1. So let's go ahead and build it. I'm just going to say edge align over here, edge align over here, and let's make it maybe 100, a little bit bigger. And as you can see, the highlight is a lot more consistent, a lot better flowing. So this is some of the things that you want to do. All right, now there are a couple other things that could probably be done, but overall, like I said, it's a pretty good model. The CV structure, the surface patches are pretty logical. Of course, there were other big improvements made, like the detail, especially the grill. I really like the grill and how it's done over here. But yeah, I think with a few adjustments here and there, I think this could be, while it is already a good model, I think it could be a great model. All right, so that is it for the project review of a McLaren Artura model. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and see you guys next time. Want to learn Autodesk Alias and digital sculpting? Then become a member at 3ddesignacademy.com, where you'll find hundreds of video tutorials ranging from basics, including curve creations, intermediate level tutorials such as this wheel, all the way to Class A modeling of the entire car exterior. Interested? Visit 3ddesignacademy.com.